sovereignty czar? Well, we all know that's not going to happen. It's the state's job to enforce state sovereignty. And you don't ask Mother May I permission from the courts or from anybody else in the federal government. You know and understand your duty, and you do it. And we are, the states I should say, and we the people, are a check and balance for federal intervention and incursions of the federal government. Because if you ask them, the only check and balance they have is themselves. They can do whatever they want until they feel like, oh, we've gone too far this time. No. We're looking for this balance of power between the states and the federal government that the Founding Fathers put in the Constitution to begin with. So, where do we go with all this? I want you to see the evidence. I'm a detective, I'm an investigator. I want to show you what's in here, what you can take home with you, the victory for state sovereignty, the Mack Prince case. Now,
can I ask you a question?
Sure, real quick.
Isn't it the job of our representatives, Jim McDermott and Al, they are our representatives against or for the federal government? Jay Inslee, whomever, I mean, that's who you would...
That's your senators and congressmen?
Yes.
Your senators changed that and became, instead of defenders of your state, when they enacted the 17th Amendment, they became politicians instead of state reps and state defenders. So I think you'll see a lot more and we'll answer your question even better, but they are not doing their job.
I know that.
Correct.
I'm in agreement with
Are they
that.
are they supposed to? Of course. But we're going to see where this really comes down, and it comes down much further. Every local official, your county commissioners, your sheriff, your city councils, every one of them are responsible to protect your freedom at all costs. What's more important? Let's look at my career. What's more important, writing tickets or protecting freedom? And whose job is it to protect freedom? No, the city council can't do that. All we do is take care of little ordinances in the city, but we can't stand for freedom. Okay, county commission? No, we can't do it either. We can't stand against the federal government. They can do whatever they want. Haven't you read the Constitution? There's a supremacy clause. Supremacy clause, supremacy clause. They're suing Arizona over the supremacy clause. What does the supremacy clause say? Well, guess what? Scalia put it in the decision, and he sets it straight. And you're going to see some amazing things now that you've never heard of before. And I guarantee you, your politicians that you just mentioned have not heard of these in a long time. Because we're talking about freedom, we're talking about personal liberty, and we're talking about states' rights. And we're talking about, bottom line, when any government is intrusive, when any government becomes the enemy, and maybe that's too harsh of a word, but that's what you'll see in a minute. But when government becomes part of the problem, as you see in the Declaration of Independence, when government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people, it is the duty of the people to throw off such government and form new guards. Okay, so that's our job. The question is, how do we do that and keep it peaceful? You see, that's all I'm about. If you think I came here to say, grab your guns, I'm Paul Revere, let's go. I'm not. And you'll never hear that from me. And you never have heard that from me. Despite Time magazine lying about me in the October 11th issue of 2010 saying that I want to use lethal force against the federal government. Isn't that amazing? I've never said it before in my life, and anybody who knows me knows that, but I decide to divulge my most inner secrets to Time magazine. And they promised me they would keep it a secret. Oh, I never told them anything. And not only that, liar, liars, no kidding, and they are. And his name was Bart Gelman, and I talked to his boss and said, your guy just lied about me in your mouth. Oh, well, we'll let you write a response in the editorial section. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. You're going to write a retraction. He goes, no, we're not. I said, okay, but just so you know, you lied about me. And anybody and everybody who knows me knows you lied about me. And we'll just leave it at that then. I talked to a lawyer, but I just don't have the time or the money. Unless you guys want to raise $1 million for me. And then I would be pretty much back into that full time, fighting some nonsense again. And what I'm fighting for is I'm fighting for freedom. And I'm fighting for America. And I'm fighting for your families and mine. And that's what I've dedicated my life to. And that's what this meeting's about tonight. And there's a way. There's a way to keep this whole thing peaceful and effective. Effective and peaceful. We get local officials, sheriffs especially, the lead law enforcement authority in your county, the only elected official that serves you in law enforcement, represents you, has promised to be your protector. You get him on board with other sheriffs standing for the holy cause of liberty. Wow. Now that's America. Effective and peaceful. And we're going to see how this happens now. I'm going to show you the evidence.
You know what you think about when you're lying here? You know you're going to die. And you think, that's all right. You lived a long time. You had a family that loved you. You had a job that you thought made a difference. That you thought was honorable. And then you see this. I'm afraid if I dig any deeper, no one's gonna like what I find. You took an oath. If you recall, when you first came to work for me, and I don't mean to the National Security Advisor of the United States. I mean to his boss. And I don't mean the president. He gave you word to his boss. You gave your word to the people of the United States. Your word is who you are.
Your word is who you are. We take solemn oaths. Everyone that serves you in government has taken the same oath to uphold and defend and obey the United States Constitution. Isn't it crazy that a movie from Hollywood has to remind us of that? Nobody else does. Does anybody ever talk about the oath of office? Never. In government, do they ever talk about the oath and the Constitution? They talk about programs and politics and policies and entitlements and regulations. And does anybody stop to ask, does that fit the Constitution? Does it fit the whole rule book? Do we follow the rule of law anymore? Especially those of us in government? No. Well, there's the oath, and the thing that you'll find similar in every oath, military or any government anywhere, that the Constitution of the United States is the first thing you swear allegiance to. The Constitution. Military, soldiers, police, dog catchers, president, senators, congressmen. In other words, everybody. From the dog catcher all the way down to the president.
You got that right.
I get confused sometimes.
No, you got that right.
And why do we take the oath? Because the Founding Fathers put it in the Constitution and it's the supreme law of the land. And they required it by law. And it's in Article 6, the last paragraph, and it says, the senators and representatives, as you were talking about, before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. So, if you don't take the oath, you violated the supreme law of the land and you can't even take your job. And if you don't keep your oath, you violated the trust of the people. This way, what did the Founding Fathers want? They wanted the executive division of government, they wanted the judicial division of government, and the legislative division of government to have one goal in common. all of us are fighting for the constitutional rights of the people we serve. Is that what our government's doing today?
No.
Nor the states.
Okay, now, yeah, at any level, I'm talking all levels of government. State nullification, you see those first two words? I gotta ask you again, did I make that up? We're talking about Thomas Jefferson when he was Vice President of the United States. He's talking about state nullification, and read that yellow line. States have the authority to judge the constitutionality of the federal government's laws and decrees. Does that say we have to take everything to court? No, the states determine. Who formed the federal government, my dear friends? The states formed the federal government. And they certainly can alter it without a call to arms and without having Barack Obama sue us. Oh my goodness. He argued that the state should refuse to enforce laws which they deemed to be unconstitutional. If we were to take everything to court, you want me to tell you? Mine took 3.5 years to get there and about $400,000. Anybody got that? Yeah, we'll just sue them. You can't. They have endless money, endless lawyers, and you have nothing. Even if you get together and raise some money, it's still a fight that's going to cost you everything you ever worked for. It's a full-time job to do this. Believe me, I know. And you have to go fight for something that you were born with, your freedom. You have to sue your own government when your local officials should have defended you from this in the first place. They're the ones making sure that you're supposed to have what? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They don't do it, and so you have to spend all your life savings and ruin your careers and livelihoods and families so you can fight for what you were born with. It's already yours. And there's people here locally that should make sure that you are protected. And they're to do what? As Madison said, interpose. Do you have local officials that are willing and courageous enough to interpose themselves on your behalf? This is James Madison, the father of our Constitution, saying that the state legislature is duty-bound to interpose its power to prevent the federal government from victimizing its people, from victimizing you. James Madison also said, and it's in my book, you can see this quote in here, the county sheriff, America's last hope. He said, we can safely rely on the disposition of state legislatures to erect barriers against the encroachments of the national authority, end quote. Do you have any state legislatures that are erecting barriers for you and your behalf?
Not yet.
But they're going to, because they have to know about this. And you're going to be able to show them these things. And you're going to be able to show your county commissioners and your city councils and your sheriffs that state sovereignty is alive and well. And our freedom is actually contingent upon that principle. Yes, there is a solution. It's the SS solution. State sovereignty. Okay? These are the two litigants in the case. Jay Prince from Montana, yours truly from Arizona. And this is Judge Roll. This is his quote. Mack is thus forced to choose between keeping his oath or obeying the law, obeying the act, subjecting himself to possible sanctions. You see what kind of a man he was? He grasped in one sentence my entire motivation for filing this lawsuit. He got it. And can you imagine a federal district judge talking about the oath of office? You see, this is why I filed. My own government's forcing me to violate my oath. Don't you want to ask every one of your public officials when they're put into this quandary, who do they decide to side with? What's your choice, Sheriff? What's your choice, Governor? What's your choice, State Rep? When the government forces you into a position of choosing between serving the people and keeping your oath, you going to side with the people or are you going to side with government regulations and bureaucracies? It's an easy choice, I think. A courageous one, but a simple one. This modified the Gun Control Act of 1968.